I mean, nothing says I love you more than a nice, delicious red cherry pie, right? Alright, so today we are going to be getting ready for Thanksgiving. And in my family, we do a lot of pie making. That's Grandma's tradition. On the farm, she'd make tons and tons and tons and tons of pies. So every Thanksgiving, she would always make tons of pies. Well, Grandma's gonna be 94 this year, so she doesn't make pies anymore. But the rest of us kids, girls, do. Grandma's famous cherry pie, which everyone in the family loves cherry pie. I don't know how it became everyone's favorite, but it is. So we're gonna start with 3 cans of cherries. These are red tart cherries in water. So you're gonna need 3 cans. You're gonna drain the juice off 2 of the cans, and you're gonna pour it into a bowl. Bloop. Your 3rd can, you're gonna pour off a little bit of the juice. You're gonna pour off a little bit of the juice, and then you're gonna pour the rest of it into the pot. Bloop. Now you may want all of the can of juice, which I think I'm gonna do because the last pie I made, I think it was lacking in juice, so I'm just gonna pour the rest of this juice in. Now, the reason you want some of the liquid in the pie is when you put your thickener in, which is tapioca in this case, it's gonna soak up all that juice. If you don't have enough juice in your pie, the tapioca is going to stay hard, and it's just going to kind of get chewy and tough and not cook up quite right? So, you need enough liquid in there, and then you also need enough tapioca to make that liquid happy. You're going to want to pour off out of your cherries a little bit of juice. It's not important how much juice, you just need a little bit, because what you're going to do is you're going to take almond extracts. So, we're going to pour a little bit in. Probably about a half a teaspoon is about right. And almond is actually a key ingredient in bringing out the cherry flavor. So we're gonna pour that over the cherries now. Okay, so your next step is you are going to want a cup of sugar. I lost my cup. Yes, my kitchen is very messy at the moment. It has been used for cutting up venison all week, and plus normal random stuff people drop everywhere, and pies. Lots of pies right now. So, it's well used. So you're gonna want a cup of sugar. Here's a cup. A little bit more than a cup. Lastly, key ingredients. Minute tapioca. Minute.
Oh, I love yoga.
Minutes. And this is great for thickening the pie. You know, it just really works well. So you're gonna want to put like a 1/4 of a cup, which is probably the rest of this box, honestly. So we're just gonna dump that in. Yeah, should be good. Sorry, this is how I roll. It's about a 1/4 cup if you're that picky about measurements. I'm gonna get a spoon. I'm gonna stir this up. So we're just gonna kind of let this sit for a few minutes. Okay, so lastly, the part that everybody complains about, you can buy your own pastry crust.
What?
You can buy your enough. You can buy your own pastry crust, or you can make your own, depending on your time level. If you make your own, it's gonna taste a lot better. You don't have all the preservative crap and stuff like that in it. Unbleached all-purpose flour. Do not buy bread flour. It will turn out terrible. Unbleached all-purpose flour. You're gonna want 2 cups, okay? Level off the top. dump them in. You put a sprinkling of salt, about a pinch, and then about a teaspoon of sugar. Mix it all together. Easy peasy, right? So here's the tricky part, is actually the shortening in the butter. Now, my grandma's recipe calls for 3/4 cup of butter flavored Crisco shortening to 1/4 cup of icy cold water. And she has a really cool trick. I mean, my grandma never went to college, and I don't even know if she ever went to all of her high school. But she is one smart cookie. So she uses water displacement to measure the shortening. Is that nuts? So water displacement. I told you we needed 3/4 cup of shortening to 1/4 cup of water. Here's our 1/4 line. And what I did was I filled it up to the 1/4 line full of water first. And then I added shortening until the water level came all the way up to 1 cup. Because 3/4 cup plus 1/4 cup equals 1 cup. So this is now 3/4 cup of shortening. You think I'm joking? Watch this. I'm gonna pull this guy out, shake all the water off gently, plop him in. Now look. Now the water level is at 1/4 cup. Pretty amazing, huh? Now once you get your shortening in here, we're gonna leave the water in the container for a minute. We're gonna go through and we're gonna chop this guy up. We're just gonna keep, this is a pastry blender. You can also use a big fork. Big forks work great. A little bit more labor intensive, but they work. Just gonna chop and smush and chop and smush.
Oh, you need back your hand?
Nope.
I don't.
Okay, so that's pretty good. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some ice cubes in this to make it extra cold. So we're gonna stick them in here. Swirl it around. Oops. Alright, fish those guys out. Throw them in the sink. Let's double check our water level. It's still at 1/4 cup. So we're going to carefully pour this around. I'm going to leave just a little drizzle left in there. So then we're going to go through and we're going to re-blend it. And this is the important part, to make sure it starts sticking together. That looks perfect. So you can tell because you can pick it up, it actually feels just a little bit wet. It's actually pretty wet. It's squished down a lot more than it should, so I'm gonna have to be careful when I mold this. Now we're gonna put this into 2 balls. We're just gonna form it into 2 large balls, one for the top pie crust and one for the bottom pie crust. Okay, so we have our 2 rounded pie crust balls. Here's a really neat trick that Eric's mom actually showed me. You have your counter. To get the saran wrap to stick to your counter, you're gonna get your hand a little wet, and you're just gonna run like a little bit of water, here, 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 and then when you lay your saran wrap there, it sticks to the water and just adheres to the counter. So then your saran wrap's not going to go anywhere. And then you can sprinkle flour on it and then put your dough on top. And then you just roll this whole thing up and throw it away. It's perfect. So you're going to sprinkle some flour on the top to keep it from sticking. So if you don't have a rolling pin, which a lot of people don't, you can use a giant bottle of vodka, which is multi-purpose because when you're done using it, you can drink it or wrap it up as a gift. Now, if you really want to be efficient, you can put this in the freezer, which will keep your pie crust extremely solid and not mushy. But I'm not that prepared, so we're just going to mush them around like this. And you're going to want to either spray him with a little cooking spray or rub him down with some flour. You can see he's got pie crust stuck to him from the last pie. That's okay. He washes right off. So we're just going to go back and forth. The water, or I guess vodka in this case, adds extra weight to your pie crust to help balance it out. So you can roll it nice and evenly. See? We're just going to keep on rolling until we get them in a big circle. Okay, so here we have it rolled out. It looks pretty big. If your edges start to stick a little bit, sprinkle a little bit of flour on the edges and gently pat it down. That will keep it from sticking to your rolling pin. And sprinkle just a tiny dab in the middle. Okay, so here's my glass one. This is a standard pie size. And this is about what we're looking for. See, if I were to fold this up, it's going to come all the way up to the top of the pie edge. So let's go ahead and transition him into the pie pan and see where he's at. You're going to take your rolling pin, and we're just going to set it right in the middle of your pie crust. I'm going to very carefully grab the edge and very carefully make sure it's coming up, and then we're going to just kind of pull it up gently but quickly, and then flip them up onto the top of your rolling pin or bottle of vodka. Once he's on the rolling pin, we're going to carefully pick them up. Don't move them too far. And then we're just going to let the edges hit the edge of the pie pan and then flip them in just like that. So now he's kind of sitting on top of it, but we got to work him in. So we're going to gently let the sides slide down. And you can see we have a lot of extra pie crust left over. Bring our pie crust back. See? Now we're going to go through. We're going to re-stir our cherries up to make sure the sugar didn't settle, because it will settle. So stir it up. Just like so. We're going to pour it in. And then we're going to roll it right out on top. Just like that. So we have our 2 pie crusts. Now we're ready to bake. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to go through and we're going to pinch the edges, and then we're going to trim off the edges. And the extra stuff I'm going to put in here because my son's going to decorate it like cookies. It's pretty good. Okay, so now we have the edges all pinched off. We're going to take a sharp knife. We're just going to follow right along the top edge of the pan. Just like so. There. See, now the edges are all trimmed. Now the last step in your cherry pie is to put your vents in the top. Now you can do it any number of ways. You can put little slits in the top, you can poke a big circle in the top, or you can put a little heart in the top. I mean, nothing says I love you more than a nice, delicious red cherry pie, right? Or maybe not. So, for today's purposes, we're just going to put some slits in the top. And you can do it any number of ways. Now, the slit is designed to let liquid evaporate. So because there's a lot of liquid in this, we're going to want some pretty good sized slits. So we might actually just go through and do it a little different. When, I don't know, that should be pretty good, I guess. Now your last step is you're going to want to coat the top in either egg or milk. In today's case, we're going to use cream. Otherwise, your pie crust will come out a little pale, which isn't bad. It just doesn't look as pretty. So it's Thanksgiving, so we're going to make it look a little nicer. Now, if you're concerned about your edges burning, you can wrap the edge in a little bit of tin foil. I haven't had a lot of issue with that lately, so I think it'll be okay. There. Now we're ready to put it in the oven. Alright, so we have our 2 pies both in the oven right now. We have the cherry pie and the pumpkin who is busy cooking. Alright, so we have pulled both pies out of the oven. Here is the pumpkin pie, and he turned out really nice. Alright, now to check the pumpkin pie to see if it's done, you just take a butter knife and stick it in the center. If it comes out with nothing on it, then it's good. See, it's just a little shiny. This is definitely cooked. Now, any sort of fruit pies, you want the edges to start bubbling. See, like right here, it's starting to bubble out. Right there. You don't want it to bubble too much, or you're going to have it overflowing into your oven, and that makes a huge mess. And it smokes up the house, and it's bad.
It's bubbling right now.
But yeah, this looks really good. So yeah, hopefully that cooked up better than my last one. So these are both for tomorrow. Now, unfortunately, I'm not bringing my video camera with me tomorrow, so you'll just have to trust me that they both taste fabulous and they're both delicious. So, everybody be safe tonight. If you're going out to the bars, which I will not be because I will be grinding up venison. Yay! But those of you that are, be safe, be well, happy Thanksgiving.